Museums are managers of consciousness. They give us an insight into the way of life of a people. Great educational institutions beyond being a storehouse of culture. And to think that the National Museum in Nigeria is turning 70. We'll talk about that on the show today. Plus, Shattered, a performance about domestic violence, gets to terror culture and a lot more. Welcome to the program. I'm Melinda Akinlami.
Age is not a challenge to creativity.
Alakija has become renowned for painting anything and everything that moves, but now she showcases her many other talents at this exhibition. Take a look.
She's dazzled with a keke napep, ferry, lorry, and molue, just to mention a few.
In all the images in this exhibition, I'm telling stories, and I think they're quite accessible stories.
When we look at her work on molues, when we look at her work on all kinds of modes of transport, what comes across is an artist who is deeply sensitive to our history.
Now, Alakija is back with something new.
And what I'm doing is painting objects and telling stories by painting an object, and then I reproduce the imagery as a print. So it's the objects I'm choosing tend to be very ordinary objects, nothing very extraordinary, and I hope I'm turning them into something a little bit out of the ordinary, and through that getting attention, engaging people, and therefore getting a message across.
She's compiled the works in an exhibition for enthusiasts to see, and the Quintessence Gallery is no stranger to her art.
I'm telling them in a way that I hope reaches a very broad audience. So it's not complicated art, it's not complex art. I'm hoping it's a form of expression that reaches that to a really wide audience, and I certainly find when I'm painting these images on location, I get reactions from all sorts of people. People just happen to be passing on the street, to art critics, art lovers. So it's a form that seems to be getting a lot of attention.
What makes her work unique are the words she adds to the canvas.
And her deep knowledge about Nigeria, about our history, from north to south, from east to west. You see her work that is multifaceted, that touches on narratives, that touches on songs, that touches on fables, that touches on proverbs, and then she creates these incredibly monolithic, huge people and puts them on these various objects, photographs them, and then embellishes them. So the work is something that you actually need to take time to get all the meaning. And every time you look at a piece of her work, you see a new revelation. I think she's one of our best artists.
The texts initially were literally used as almost wallpaper behind the images, because I realised the images otherwise were just too stark, and words seemed to work. So initially I used text that meant something to me personally. So the link might be a bit tenuous and abstruse, but it meant something to me. And gradually I'm using text that are more and more relevant to the imagery. Or what I've started to do more and more as well is work with writers and a couple of times with poets who have given me words that I can use in the background, which is fed as well into the imagery. And I think, again, that kind of helps engage people, because even if somebody's not particularly visual, they can read the words, and that might help explain what the story is all about. So it's yet another way of engaging people, and of course another way to elaborate on a story.
And for the art lovers present, Polly does get a pass.
Alakija's exhibition is amazing. I find the diversity of her works that are on display here really refreshing, because we have prints, we have some oil on canvas, and we have a series of new works that I think are being presented for the first time. She did a whole series of works on jazz and painted pianos, and then created these wonderful compositions that were inspired by certain songs in jazz. Some that everybody knows, like Summertime. Strange Fruit is one that Nina Simone sang, and Polly's interpretation of that song that was created on the back of a piano is such an intricate work. And when I've spoken to the artist and sort of learned about what inspired her, history comes out.
It's a different kind of thought process that's been put into putting this together, and I think I must give her credit for that radical, perspective that she's put into her art. It's a breath of fresh air these days. What we see at exhibitions and installations.
The artist is pleased and has this to say about her effort.
I'm not sure about Polly and style. I think I just paint what I paint no matter what I'm faced with. So whether it's a canvas or a piano or a truck, I feel I'm just painting. So I don't consciously put any style into it. I'm just painting as I paint and try and paint as best I can.
From painting to pictures, Polly Alakija is certainly a curious mind, as no one knows her next adventure.
The only time I do try and pitch the style a bit differently would be, let's say, if I'm painting an object to tell a story that's specifically aimed at children, and then I might sort of tailor the imagery a bit and how I'm doing it so that it's very accessible to a very young audience. But other than that, I don't think I'm changing my style because it's a painted object that's going to end up as a print. In fact, I don't normally have time to worry about style when I'm painting these things. Normally, let's say the image up there of a mural I painted in Kaduna, I had about 8 days to finish that painting. So, if you're painting under pressure like that, you don't have time to think about style. You're doing square meterage of painting here, so you just get on and do it. So I kind of think the style is me painting, not consciously trying to paint in any particular style.
Well, that's one woman who never ceases to amaze me. I'm telling you, she keeps bringing up surprises at each and every time. But we're just getting warm on the show, because when Art House returns, it's off to Terra Culture, where an inspirational performance awaits you. You won't want to miss that one, so don't go anywhere.
A foremost educationist that helped shape the curriculum in primary and secondary education in Nigeria. While his colleagues decided to stick to studio, he decided to invest in the future by nurturing art from the cradle. He worked with the Ministry of Education for many years, rose through the ranks, and helped put a lot of policies that shaped the sector. He was a co-founder of the Society of Nigerian Artists.